Hey everyone, welcome to
We're watching here. We're watching here.
This is Opinionated Movie Talk with Chris and Perry. My name is Chris Williams. With me, he is the cowboy to my alien, Perry Seibert.
If we do this podcast right, you're only going to see me one more time.
Have a feeling I'm going to see it twice. We are today discussing Steven Spielberg's latest Disclosure Day and David Lynch's Mulholland Drive, two films that have nothing in common except that it's a bit of a Fableman's reunion. So there's that.
There we go. There we go.
Perry, how are you doing? How's your summer?
All is well and good. Preparing for an excellent family trip. And that's about it. Chris, how are you doing?
We're good. Kids are out of school, so I'm being driven nuts when I'm working from home, but it's great. We're going to Cedar Point, going to ride some roller coasters later this weekend, so
Woo-hoo.
looking forward to that.
All
And it's
right.
been a very good movie summer so far. A very busy movie summer. Good. No, I've liked pretty much everything I've seen so far, so it's
It's
off
been
to a good
okay.
start.
It's been okay. There's
Yeah.
been some good stuff.
So speaking of which, though, Perry, what have you been watching?
We're gonna start. We're going back to the spring for a movie that you saw that I finally caught up with. A movie that you really hated,
Oh, I
and
think I know what this is.
every single description of the movie you gave me said, I think I'm gonna have to watch this. So yes, I watched Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. I'm one of the few who have done it. And I understand. I understand your reaction to this movie. I'm not saying it works, but I like it more than you did. I liked The Swing a lot.
Okay.
I really for a good hour or so, I was quite with it. I like it for a variety of reasons. It's not just The Swing; it's how different it is from her first film as a director. I love the completely different type of movie that this is. Uh, there's almost other than Jesse Buckley, there's nothing those first two films have in common with each other, and I kind of like that a lot because I think she's a really talented actress, and I think she's really good with actors, and I think that shows both from this film and the last one. Uh, I know it gets swamped because the movie's not about him, but boy, Christian Bale's really good.
Christian
As
Bale is really
Frankenstein,
good in this, I will
he's really
concede.
good in that movie. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a very good performance. That is a really interesting uh, take on the Frankenstein monster, and uh, a good percentage of that due to the script, which is a really interesting take on that person. Yeah, it falls apart. Yeah, I have no problem saying that, but I even sort of like the note she wanted to end on. I like this thing. I'm not saying it's good, but I can't say I disliked my 2 hours watching it.
All right. I felt like the movie was screaming in my face for 2 hours, but I will concede the final needle drop. I did laugh. I did like that.
Oh, that was the one thing that was kind of a bummer. I'm like,
Oh, see, I like that. I liked that.
all right,
Um,
okay.
but I'll keep coming back to the fact that I saw this the week after I saw Scream 7. I disliked both of those movies. I would much rather sit through The Bride over and over than Scream
Oh,
7.
that makes me happy. And
Yeah,
I'm
no.
willing to, this might have been a very different experience in the theater. Your comment kept bouncing through my brain the whole time. I'm like, I just feel like this movie's been yelling at me for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I could see that on a big screen. Yes. That said, I like Jesse Buckley a great deal in it too. I think it's a really good performance and a really different. I don't know how to play that well, but I think she found things in it that even Maggie. I think she filled in a lot of gaps that Maggie Gyllenhaal wrote for her. I'm sure she wrote it with her in mind, and it's good. I appreciated it.
I'm glad you did. I don't begrudge anyone for liking that one because at least it's different.
Very,
So,
very. What have you been watching, Chris?
well, you went with one from a few months ago. I will go with the most current release right now. I had the opportunity to see Toy Story 5 last week. Uh,
Ah,
I am a fan of the Toy Story movies. I saw the first one opening night way back in 95. I think it is the rare series that continues to be consistent and funny and thoughtful. They usually find a way to make me cry. Um, And I don't think Toy Story 5 is any different. I would say it's nowhere near as good as the first three, and I think Toy Story 2 is very top tier Pixar for me, and this doesn't reach that. I liked it better than Toy Story 4 though. It's funny. It is thoughtful. I think it finds some new things to do. This is probably the first Toy Story movie that I think is most centered on the kid. Usually Andy's at the periphery. Bonnie, she was new in the last one. And this is really much about it, parents trying to figure out screens with their kids, which as a
No.
parents of kids, yeah, I got that. I like that approach. If you think Disney, a company that has benefited from having your data through social media and streaming, is going to take an anti-tech stance the whole way, I got news
Surprised they
for you.
don't.
Yeah. But I think it's funny in how it deals with that. I think it finds some good things to say about tech as a balance. It has Conan O'Brien as a potty training device. And I will say it also, I really appreciate that they've figured out Woody's story's pretty much done. So let's move him to the back. Let's move him and Buzz a bit back. And this is Jesse's story. And
Nice.
John Cusack, God bless. Joan Cusack really gets to shine in this. I was a little worried that anything they did might cheapen Toy Story 2, but I think they find a way to play off Toy Story 2 in a way that is very effective and may have been the thing that made me cry. I enjoyed it, but the real reason I'm excited about this is I also took my daughter with me to see this movie,
Very nice.
and she came home and wrote her first movie review, which is
Woohoo!
which is posted on my newsletter for everyone to read. It is a hopefully new segment called CCCs. And I was really proud that she started off with, before we buzz into this. So her pun skills are already on game. So
She's halfway there.
she's there. So yeah, it's Toy Story 5. It's a Toy Story movie. You're going to like it. I'm glad to see Pixar turning out something that is, sweet and thoughtful and witty. And yeah, it's Toy Story.
Uh, 4 was half a bridge too far for me, so I am very skeptical. I'm having a very hard time making myself go see this one.
I like this one better than 4. I think this is probably the funniest one in a while, which really helps. 4, I like 4 as an epilogue, but I think this is more in line with the tone of the first 3.
4 is the first one that felt truly inessential. Look, 3 isn't necessary. 2 is two might for sheer practical technical reasons might be the best Pixar movie. It's certainly the best Toy Story movie.
I would have it right under Wally. I think that's where I have it, is right under Wally.
I would have it, if I had one above it'd be Nemo.
Okay.
I have Nemo. I think Nemo's the best Pixar movie for
Well,
a variety of reasons. But Toy Story 2 is the Toy Story 2 maybe gets the edge just because, oh my word, you made the first film and you made it better. You found a better way to tell that story. And
I love that one.
And it's got, one of the Randy Newman songs that didn't win an Oscar. I don't know how, but alas.
Toy Story 5 also directed by Andrew Stanton, who did Wally and
Finding Nemo, which is why I am intrigued. But remember, he's also responsible for John Carter from Mars.
I like John Carter of Mars, but
you're the one.
I am the one. I am probably the one who I didn't pay to see it. I saw it at a screening, so nope, I didn't help that.
Oh, sorry. I used to really love Andrew Stanton. Then he made John Carter from Mars. I'm like, I can't trust it. And then did Finding Dory. I'm like, okay, now you're just retrenching.
I like this one.
Hope.
Hopefully you like this one.
You have given me some hope. Perhaps I will go.
CC might win you over.
Absolutely. Let's see what a young critic's doing these days.
You seen anything else, Perry?
I've seen what so far is my favorite movie of 2026, and that is Booth Riley's I Love Boosters.
Nice.
Which I hate that our recording pattern set in a way that we couldn't talk about this when it was in theaters still. I loved this movie. It's really funny. It's really smart. It is a huge step forward from Sorry to Bother You, and I liked Sorry to Bother You a great deal. I think Sorry to Bother You is a great first film. This is a great film. This is a wonderful capitalist critique that looks like a Warner Brothers cartoon. It's fantastic. It is goofy. It is angry without the anger being central. It is playful without the anger keeps it serious while it is playful the entire time. That might be the way to think about this. And I was absolutely enamored with pretty much every choice Boots Riley made, even when I think it's a bit more than he can chew. I don't care. It's not that it's falling apart. It's not that it derails. And if you're talking about needle drops, I would argue that it has the single greatest needle drop I'm going to hear this year, and it's on the short list for the decade for me. There is a music choice so smart and so Michigan specific that I was thrilled. When I saw Sorry to Bother You, I thought this is the most hip hop film I've ever seen. And this is from someone who is not deep into hip hop culture, who is a Gen X classic rock loving nerd through and through musically. I don't hate hip hop. It was never what I was into. Uh, but the ability, how that film brought together seemingly disparate things to make something new was fascinating. And this film does that even better and even more. This is sort of the Paul's Boutique of movies for me. This is a really excellent piece of work. I don't know, to the point that I don't know what he could do next. I don't know how to take this style further. And I'm curious to see if he'll try or whatever Boots wants to do. But as far as I'm concerned, I am there for whatever he wants to do next.
I really want to see this. I really liked Sorry to Bother You as well. I've heard nothing but great things about this one. I can go right into my what we've been watching because I had a choice a few weeks ago to see I Love Boosters or this other film. And it all literally came down to the film I chose started at 7. I was out at the theater at 6:30. All right, this is the one I'm seeing. I saw Curry Barker's Obsession, which a lot of people are talking about right now. This movie is doing insane business.
Yes.
Less than $1 million to make. It's made something like $200 million so far. It actually, in its first 3 weekends, kept increasing in how much money it was making, which, I think they said E.T. was the last one to do that, which is kind of amazing. So I was really curious about this. And it is a horror movie about a lonely boy who has a crush on a girl. He finds a magic stick, which we're going to talk about more magic sticks tonight, by the way.
We're not alone.
But he makes a wish that his crush would love him more than anything else in the world. And surprise, surprise, that has bad consequences.
They do. Yes.
A monkey paw thing there. What I thought was interesting about this is I kind of went in expecting this was going to be a pretty typical slasher movie. It is not that. It is a very weird, slow burn movie that doesn't depend on jump scares, but I will say might have the most successful one I've seen in a long time. It also doesn't depend on gore, except for one sequence that is the most awful thing I have seen in a very long time as well.
Right.
This is a movie. This is interesting on the one hand because I recognize that Curry Barker has talent. He's been making films for YouTube. I think there should be a clarification between a YouTuber and a person making short films putting up on YouTube. He is making short films and apparently very good at it. He has a real command of tone and tension. He isn't afraid to let the camera just hold much longer than it needs to, which really gets under your skin as it goes. I found this a very unsettling movie. The sound design in this is amazing. It crept under my skin. It creeped me out. It is asking questions about consent and agency and watching someone lose themselves that really just really got to me. It's a disturbing little movie. I also realize it is a horror movie not made for me. This is a movie very much not made for someone my age. It is the people who are in their 20s dealing with being single right now and loneliness and questions of consent and agency and stuff. So to see it strike a chord, it's kind of one of those moments where I'm like, oh, he's got the skills. And also, I'm old and he's connecting with the audience he should be connecting with right now. I really liked this movie. It's a very good horror movie. I'm very curious to see what he does next. And I'm very happy for his success. Have you seen Obsession?
I have not. Of the two giant low budget horror movies that have been big hits, this is the one I'm way more likely to see sooner than later. I was on the fence whether I would get to it or not, and I had enough people who I trust let me know how frustrated they were by the screenplay, which made me think I'm probably going to wait to see this. But I'm glad to know that you found it effective and worth your time. I will check it out.
I will say a lot of people I've talked to have brought up that it has real Ari Aster vibes. So you might want to hold off.
Not the way to go with me.
I will say,
to go with me.
I should bring up though that Indy Navarrete, the lead actress in this movie, is phenomenal. She gives such a bonkers performance, such a very precise performance that is just emotionally creepy and physically like, what is she doing? That I can already see she will likely be in my top 5 when it comes time to vote later this year. So
all right,
catch up before end of the year. I know you well enough to know this could sour for you. But
yeah, I usually hate the hot horror film of the moment. So that's the other reason I kind of avoided it. But
I liked it a lot better than Long Legs. So
that's not hard to do. I really hated Long Legs.
So we have one more what we're watching. We're going to make it one of the main parts of this podcast because Perry, we both saw this on the same night. It is currently the #1 movie in the country. It is also about magic sticks. It is Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day, his 4th Alien movie, if you don't count Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. After Close Encounters, E.T., and War of the Worlds.
Oh, I was checking out War of the Worlds. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I will. Hey, sorry. He gets hung with Crystal Skull too. He chose to make it, man. He could have told George no, but he didn't. So no, this is on him.
It is on him. This is Spielberg returning this topic again. This stars Josh O'Connor as a worker at a big tech firm who takes the data.
Wardex. Yeah, I knew it was war because that's all that matters.
He has proof that there are 50 years of cover-ups of aliens visiting our planet and the government knowing about it, and he decides he's going to disclose it to the whole world. The rich people who own Wardex don't like this, so they chase him. And in the meantime, you have also Emily Blunt in there as a weather girl who starts basically speaking in tongues and, to borrow a phrase from another Steven Spielberg movie, feeling other people's feelings. And so this is a race across the eastern seaboard, not quite across the country, to get to not Devil's Canyon, but the next best thing, a TV station, and broadcast this to the world. I think I can start here. You know that I am the bigger Spielberg fan, probably of the two of us. He is.
Oh yes.
He is.
Yes, you are.
Without Steven Spielberg, I'm not a movie fan. He was fundamental to me growing up. I think he has made some great films. He has made some not so great films. But I turn out for everything he does. I love Spielberg. I love the recent run he's been on, particularly after West Side Story and The Fabelmans. I find Disclosure Day to find him working sometimes at the top of his technical skill. It is nice to see that there is a big budget blockbuster that remembers that you can move the camera and point the camera in interesting directions during an action scene. After years of Marvel just kind of figuring you can shake them around and just blur things in front of them, I think the first 90 minutes of this movie are a wonderful chase movie. It's gripping, it's exciting. I thought it was Spielberg proving he can still do set pieces with the best of them. I think the combination of Steven Spielberg face and John Williams music still gets a chemical reaction out of me. Um, and I think it is touching on ideas I find extremely interesting. There is a lot of religious stuff going on in this, about how people of faith might react to the disclosure of extraterrestrials. I think there is some interesting stuff going on about empathy in this movie. But before we get into details with that, I will just say I don't think David Koepp's screenplay can quite hold it all together, and the movie really starts to lose some steam in the last hour and turns into a bit of a mess there, even though there's still stuff I like in it. And we can talk about specifics in a minute. But Perry, what do you think of Disclosure Day?
Look, I'll give you my thought when I left. It was okay. This is. I'm not going to rehash my whole Steven Spielberg thing right now. Hopefully, I won't do it on this episode. You've all heard it enough. My thought at the end was, okay, this is fine mid-tier Spielberg. It's a 3-star film. And it is the one I kept going back to was this. What did I feel like from a Spielberg film the last time I felt this? Oh, Minority Report. And I never watched Minority Report again. And I don't think I'll ever watch this again, but I would rather watch this again than Minority Report by a whisker, mostly because of Emily Blunt, who is so good.
Very good.
For all of the stuff in the first 90 minutes of the film that I seem to like more than you do, because I don't give a crap about the chase. What she is asked to do and to make that seem realistic or lived in or grounded in any capacity is a marvel. And I know she's great at it because she is saddled with a line of dialogue so atrocious later in this movie that she obviously doesn't know how to deliver it, and Spielberg doesn't know how to shoot it, and it should have been cut. And obviously it wasn't because Spielberg wanted it there for some reason. And I will never, it is one of the glaring problematic Spielberg-isms in the movie. And we could get into details later if you want to know what line it is.
Yes, I would like to know what line it is.
I don't know how any actor in this kind of movie is supposed to deliver with any degree of realism or just sense. I'm going to fail the actual line. It's something like, I don't want to be your religion.
Yes,
That's
yes.
An awful line. That's an awful line for so many reasons. That's a terrible line of dialogue that anybody would have had the sense to cut, except Steven Spielberg.
Well, okay, since we're on that, we can kind of bounce around this movie because, it's whatever. It's our podcast.
Sure.
But, the religious stuff in this movie I thought would be the stuff that sells me. And I will say, this sometimes happens. You see a movie at a press screening, you have to write a review 2 nights later, and the baggage shifts over time. And I wrote what was probably a more positive review than I feel a week later, if that makes sense. It was a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd for me when I rated it. And I went back just the other day and I bumped it down 3.5 stars. I'm like, I was kind of thinking, I'm like, this is doing stuff that I should like, but so much of it is just brought up and then dismissed.
Yes.
For instance, the idea of, would people of faith, would their whole world crumble if they learned, hey, we're not God's only creation? And I think some would, some wouldn't. And that's an interesting thing for a movie to deal with. The way this movie deals with it is to have someone call a nun who says, yeah, no, we're okay with that. We're fine. And
yes.
Yes.
Why not a rabbi? I don't understand why we have limited, for the first time in his career, he's decided here to front Christianity instead of Judaism. And I want to know why.
Second time, because Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. But
okay, fair.
But no, you're
not. Yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah, that's another episode for us. That would be good. I'd like to dig deeper there, but not right now.
but no, there's that. Like, why doesn't he go to a rabbi? Why doesn't he have all these religious people come together and hash this out? Why doesn't the movie hash it out instead of just a phone call that says, like, at least get the Pope on the line about this, right? Not the nun you knew who lives in the woods, like, who just dismisses it with, yeah, we're fine, the movie can continue. I was like, okay, I was really hoping the movie would grapple with that, especially none of these religious conversations are involving Emily Blunt's character. This is Josh O'Connor and his ex-nun
Yes.
girlfriend. And so, yeah, I mean, the line is bad,
That's
but it's
N-U-N if you haven't seen the
you're
movie
right,
yet.
yes.
That's just to be clear.
But it's also Emily Blunt's character hasn't been dealing with, oh, these people are going to worship me. Oh, their whole worldview and faith is going to shift. Josh O'Connor's been dealing with that. His girlfriend's been
Right.
dealing with that.
Right.
She's not. So that line is bad, but also doesn't have. It's not just a bad line. It's not connected to anything the character's been going through.
Right. It's a terrible line of
Yeah.
dialogue.
I also, I think there are some things Spielberg does so well because it's what he does, right? Like, he has 2 or 3 chase sequences in this movie that are photographed so well. At the beginning, which backpedaling too, I could not have predicted what the very first shot of this movie was going to be in a million years. But
Yeah, okay. That's fair. Yeah.
But there is shortly after that, there is a scene where Josh O'Connor's driving around and he's paranoid and you can tell he's trying to get somewhere. He's watching everything. And the way Spielberg shoots it, that you see the streets reflected in the windshield, reflected on his face, which is something he did way back with Sugarland Express and that whole scene with the white. Like, that's good stuff. There are camera movements when someone's just moving from one side of a car to another where I'm like, there's a lot more thought put into this than anyone had to put into that. And I appreciate that Spielberg does that. But I'm also wondering a week later, why is this movie sitting mid-tier Spielberg? Again, I think it's a perfectly enjoyable summer movie. I would love to see it again. And I know there are religious motifs that I missed out on because other people have brought them up. Like there's Tower of Babel stuff, there's Adam and Eve stuff in this. But I've been wondering, why is this stuck in the middle? Why is this not wowing me a week later the way, a really good Steven Spielberg one does? And it comes down to, and this is going to be a spoiler. So just we're going to assume you've watched the movie by this point. But
Sure.
So near the end of the film, it's revealed that Kellner, Josh O'Connor's character, and Margaret, Emily Blunt's character, as children, were abducted by aliens. And the aliens open their minds or something to help them communicate with the aliens.
Or something. That's
or
exactly
something.
right.
It involved a lot of magic sticks, which, sidebar, is way too much of a Marvel thing to be in this movie. But they give Josh O'Connor the gift to basically understand math on the spot. It's the universal language. Emily Blunt is given this gift of empathy, feeling people's feelings. And my initial thought in that moment is, oh, I love this. I've been having conversations recently with people about how we kind of need our emotions and our intellect, how we need engineers and we need artists. And that's awesome. And then I start thinking, this feels very familiar. And of course, you don't have to go back more than one film to see it might be Spielberg dealing with his computer scientist father and his artist mother, which he's dealt with all his career.
Yes.
And then the thing that sticks me further, though, is, but he's already done this before in another Alien movie, because Close Encounters has the computers and music syncing up to communicate. And this movie doesn't have an instant that poetic. It doesn't have the transcendence of that. And so it just kind of, it's an entertaining movie. It's got some nice ideas. It's got some very good acting. But it's still just, it bounces off me because it's aiming for depth it doesn't have. And Spielberg is rehashing conversations he's had better.
Yes. The takeaway that is bothering me and why I sound like I don't like it, because I kind of don't, although I don't think it's a bad movie, is that I can't believe you're 79. This is all you want to say at this point. You just reworked an absolute classic in West Side Story and made it better. You you finally dropped the veneer of fiction to make a really autobiographical film instead of just feeding us autobiography hidden behind aliens. And you go back to this. This feels like, this feels like you came off Schindler's List to make Jurassic Park 2. The man has incredible talent and horrible taste. He always has. He always will. This is what he is, and that's why this is like. That's why this is. I can't get away from this. Feels disappointing for how fun it is to watch much of the time. I'm like, no. Learn, do better, do better, Steven. You're better than this. Don't. David Koepp is a very good screenwriter. It's not all David Koepp's fault, but
well, it's a story by Spielberg too.
If you've got Tony Kushner on the line, use him all the time. Just do it. You're better off.
I think, again, there are interesting ideas that maybe perk up. Like there's this idea that empathy is an evolutionary superpower of sorts. I'm like, oh, that's interesting in an age where we don't have empathy. I like the idea of framing this against a world that is basically on the precipice of World War III and everyone's distracted and angry because, hey, that's today. But I don't know that he does much with that. I also saw someone bring up the fact that this is a movie that wants to lean really hard on using legacy media instead of the internet, which I'm all for. I'm an old newspaper guy. But they don't let the news stations fact check any of this. They just plug it all in their USBs and they go. Yeah, I it's really weird because I came out of this very positive because it is in the moment a very enjoyable experience. And there's enough here where I'm like, that's interesting. And there's enough to disappoint me because I'm like, but there should be more and there should be something different at this point.
Yeah.
Yes. I think your Minority Report, which is a movie I like Minority Report quite a bit. But it's a visceral experience that I don't think says a ton deep. I mean, at that time it was like all Patriot Acts and stuff, but it's fine. It's a great popcorn movie. This is a very good popcorn movie. And listen, I sat through Mandalorian and Grogu a few weeks ago.
Okay.
A movie that exists. I have a ticket stub to prove that. I enjoyed it in the moment, but I have never seen a movie evaporate from my brain so fast. Give me 5 Disclosure Days above that, above Minions, above any of that. But I mean, this is Steven Spielberg who perfected the blockbuster, and now it's just kind of like, yeah, I can do a good one too. I mean, it's still better than Ready Player One, but.
Oh yeah, which is the film he made just before those two late masterpieces. That's proving my point. He's always been remarkably inconsistent. Just always. I had the experience of this, and this is a straight up spoiler, people. If you haven't seen the movie and don't want the end spoiled, just skip ahead. I don't know, 5 minutes probably.
You probably should have skipped about 10 minutes ago, though, to be honest. But
I'm gonna really ruin the end of the movie because I have to talk about this because this was my experience seeing the movie. For only the second time in my life, I remember feeling actual sort of physical pain and trying not to laugh out loud during a movie. The end comes, they wheel out the creature, they wheel out the alien, and the alien stands up, as I remember it in my head.
He does.
And then the whole point is he whispers something to Josh O'Connor's character who can understand what he says, who for some reason he's the one that's got to tell then Emily Blunt, who I don't know why Josh O'Connor can't just get up and say what it is, but this is the theme of the movie. The person who's bestowed with empathy, who people will listen to, gets to say the word, and she says the word, and the word is really underwhelming.
Yeah.
It's really do good or awful and been set up, been hammered home beforehand. So it's like, it's not even a surprise. It's terrible. It's not that it's terrible. It's just obvious, like the whole movie. But I as soon as he stood up, I am shaking uncomfortably in my seat because all I want is a callback to something that happens in the first scene of the movie that Emily Blunt is in which her doofus boyfriend uh, is so happy to see her on the news that he does a dance. The weather shimmy. They have a name for this dance. It's a gimmick. It's a
Well,
joke they
she
have with
does
each
that on
other.
the air.
Oh, that's true. She does that on the air. It's
Yeah.
like if the alien does the weather shimmy and we cut to black, this is my favorite Spielberg film ever, ever. Full stop. 5 stars, no notes. That shows a sense of humor about what you have done that Spielberg does not possess. Spielberg understands when something is funny and can appreciate something that's funny. I truly believe he's incapable of thinking of something that's funny. I don't think he has that in him. He's not going to ruin a joke that is given to him in a script, but I don't think he can think of a funny thing on his own that genuinely works.
I would.
If
I think visually he's very funny. I think Raiders of the Lost Ark.
right,
And
you give him the joke, he can figure out how to shoot it, but he's not going to think of the funny thing to do.
no. I mean, that's how you get 1941. That
Exactly,
was, yeah.
exactly. And so like that's what like this film needed what hasn't been in any of those alien films for Spielberg is a sense of there's a little bit of it in ET. There's no sense of play. There's no
Mm.
sense of there's no sense of joy. There's wonder, but there's no joy in Close Encounters. There's
Oh no.
wonder. There's awe. I love what the Richard Dreyfuss the title he said he was always going to write for his memoir about working with Steven Spielberg. Do you know this joke?
I don't.
He said this. He said the title of the memoir was going to be "Have they figured out yet what it is I am looking up in awe at?" Which is
Yeah.
that's how I feel about all those movies in a real reductive way, and that's what a lot of this is. Yes, if the last word had been if they'd done all this right, even kept it, and then the last word is dance, and then they all do the weather shimmy, that would have been spectacular. That would have been spectacular. And that is I'm asking Steven Spielberg to do something he's incapable of doing, and I know that's remarkably unfair. But that was the thought I had literally in the moment of watching the movie. I didn't have to muse over what I thought about the movie to get to this. I experienced this in the moment. And that's why I'm sort of like, it's fine. I don't want to talk about it. It's a fine popcorn movie. People, yes, go be entertained. It's a summer blockbuster, but it's not close to his best summer blockbuster.
No. I mean, go watch any of his other Alien ones before this one.
Oh,
Except maybe Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I
well,
like War of the Worlds quite a bit.
I like War of the Worlds too, and I think they're pretty close. They're pretty close. Yeah. I don't know if I'm willing to sacrifice Emily Blunt for Tom Cruise. That's my problem. I'm like, if Tom Cruise weren't at the center of that, I might have a better time
Yeah.
saying that about this movie. But even that
War,
movie's less fun now because he's grown past his daddy issues, and that movie was the last of his daddy issue movies. So
War of the Worlds has a great moment where Tom Cruise makes his kids a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you realize in that moment that Tom Cruise has probably never made a peanut butter jelly sandwich before in his life. My last thing I'll say with this is that whole the alien at the end was I don't think there's a version of this movie where they let him make it without it. Like the audience would be like, we want to see the alien. Gosh, that was a bridge too far. I would have really liked, if you're gonna make this whole thing about, hey, we're dumping out all the news about aliens to the world, and we're gonna do this by showing news reports, and a very effective performance by a news anchor reading this stuff as it's supposed to be airing. Leave it there. If you want the audience to sit with something, leave it there, and maybe over the end credits, put real footage over the very vague alien stuff that's being revealed right now. I think when I left, I was okay with the final word because I'm like, whatever, we are in such a weird place right now. Everyone's so angry that maybe we need someone to shout the answer at us. But man, I would have just ended with the news reports and cut to black there.
Yeah, I would have. I guess this. I yes. I
I
have
mean,
all sorts of
the
notes. I
weather
have all
chamois
sorts of
would
notes.
have
I'm
been
guessing
better. The
the
weather
weather chamois
chamois.
is the best possible way to end this movie. At least if you're gonna stick with the word you left with, then as painful as it is, and how much fun it is to watch the actors do that, cut the Coleman Domingo Colin Firth scene earlier where you lay it all out anyway. Like you've
Mhm.
already told me this is the point. If I'm already listening, then your movie fails.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's Disclosure Day.
That's Disclosure Day.
That's a movie where everything is on the screen explained for you. It's enjoyable. We both enjoyed it in the moment.
Enough of it.
I'm
Enough of it
kind
in
of
the moment.
surprised how negative I am a week later, but sometimes that happens. But now we're going to shift to a movie that's a little bit easier to talk about. A
A movie
little
that
bit
doesn't lay it all out for you. A movie
that
that does not explain much of anything in
does
the
not
movie.
explain much of anything. This should be really quick and easy to talk about. So Perry, I'll turn it over to you and just ask you, how the hell do we talk about Mulholland Drive?
Well, I think we talk about it. Let's do this as we would. Let's talk about this is one of the ones you have seen out of sequence with Lynch. You saw this well before we started doing this series.
So before we started this series, this was the only David Lynch movie I had seen. I
Right.
saw this probably about a decade ago. And I remember watching it and being like, it was this weird thing because I don't want to say, like, I'm kind of, I'm obviously being facetious to say I don't understand this movie. Coming to Lynch now, I'm like, I'm probably not going to understand the movie if you ask me to explain it as a narrative or as a puzzle, because that's not what he's making. Um,
Right.
Back then, I think I finished it and said, I don't understand that, but I kind of get it. I'm excited to see it again. It will all make sense. It makes less sense now that I've seen it again, except in the way that these Lynch movies do. It makes perfect sense emotionally and thematically, and the things he's dealing with, as long as you just accept it doesn't have to make narrative sense. We can talk through the theories on this and everything, and I have ideas of how he's coming at this, but I don't really know that I'm interested in figuring out what parts are really a dream or anything. Like, I don't think that's the point, and I think that is what is going to make this movie so enjoyable to revisit over the years.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um,
That's fair. So what was this like for you to revisit with the knowledge you now have of all of the vast majority of the previous work? Like what was like, oh, that's what for you do you see as the change from, because this has always felt like the absolute natural follow-up to Lost Highway. Like they're
yeah,
very
absolutely.
similar movies structurally. They've
Mm-hmm.
always seemed very similar to me, but the straight story comes between them. Thank
Yeah.
goodness. So I mean that's the obvious reference point you wouldn't have had previously.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious. I'm curious what rhymes with his previous work. What other rhymes with previous works of his you saw in this? Coming back to it now.
So I think one thing that stuck with me throughout this whole series is something that Tyler Huckabee, a writer I follow on Blue Sky and Facebook, said shortly after David Lynch died. And he said a lot of people look at Lynch and they see his work as questioning or as looking at the darkness that exists under the smiley facade of America. And he's like, the actual better way to approach his work is, how do those things coexist, right? It is, the world is beautiful and has hope and optimism, and it's also filled with people who do horrible things, and we are afraid, and there seems to be this sense of evil that pervades some areas. And I feel like Mulholland Drive gets the closest to doing that in a way that just feels completely natural, if that makes sense, because it's not a natural movie.
No.
Um, but watching again, here's what I remember. All I remembered from it was that what was the basic, like the shift from Naomi Watts playing Betty to playing Diane. That is really all I remembered. Was there was this hinge moment where suddenly she's a different person. So I was watching for that. And the way I had remembered that was, oh, And then all of the stuff from when she was Betty was a dream, and all the stuff from when she was Diane is real life. And I don't know that I quite buy that anymore, that I accept that, because if you take that when she's Diane, it's real world. There are a lot of fissures opening up where that dream is popping through, and you're still questioning what's real in that. And I think an idea I came away with on a walk recently when I was thinking over this movie. So the movie starts off obviously with the jitterbug contest over the opening
Yes.
credits that we later find out, is what brought Diane to LA. And then someone's head hitting a pillow. And the easy way to read that is that it is Naomi Watts' character going to sleep and having this dream. And I don't know that I buy that. I don't know that that's the only interpretation.
It's
Because
not by any.
we don't see anyone, it's like someone's head. We see a point of view. So I don't know. I'm just going to riff on this. I have two thoughts about what that could be. Both ways, I think the entire movie is some sort of dream where these dreams are bleeding together, or the dream world somehow bleeding into the real world. It doesn't matter. Um, but it's either David Lynch showing us a dream and we're the ones hitting the pillow and he's like, this is what's on my mind, or it's his dream. And the way I've kind of thought about that is this him, and not literally a dream, but him grappling with the idea, or expressing the idea, exploring the idea of LA itself, right?
Mhm.
This town where people come and they are wide-eyed and they're going to pursue their dreams, and they're going to present their best selves, and they're going to find stardom, but also that same person could find themselves strung out and poor and being abused and doing things that they thought beneath themselves. And a director wants to come in and have control, but really, he can't control his own life. And the people above are always going to be forcing decisions in on him. And it kind of all flows together in this part dreamy version of LA, part nightmare version of LA, where behind a counter is the manifestation of all our guilt anyway. And I don't know that anything I just said made sense, except it all makes sense in my head, which kind of helps me grasp the movie.
Yeah, that's all
Yeah.
Lynch has ever wanted you to do, is however you want to grasp it in your own head. He famously refused to talk about what anything in any of his movies or TV shows means.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's a perfectly valid experience, and that's the thing. This is a movie to be experienced, and I had two thoughts while watching it this time, and I hadn't watched it in a very long time. I probably haven't watched it in 10 years.
Okay.
Um, and it's in part because I never loved this one nearly as much as a lot of the others, and certainly not as much as a lot of people do. I don't think this is one of the great films of this century. I
Okay.
just don't. I think it's very good. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a very good film, but I don't hold it in that high in esteem. Um, the first film, it didn't. I don't know if it reminded me of the first one. I don't remember. I can't remember my thoughts the first time I saw it. I just remember people have been talking about this film since it came out in 2001 so much that I feel like that's what I remember more than my original experience seeing the movie. Uh, uh, uh have you ever seen Ingmar Bergman's Persona?
I have not.
Now might be a good time. This will get at a lot of this for you, and it's a really
Okay.
it's an important movie for a lot of reasons. It is in a lot of ways it it is hard to boy. I'm trying to be careful here because a lot of what I want to say, I want to talk about Inland Empire at the same time because they're very connected.
Okay.
They're very connected thematically and almost physically. I do this century for Lynch, his filmed work has been about death. That's what Mulholland Drive's about. That's certainly what Inland Empire is about. And that's certainly, if not death, mortality is the overarching subject of the last season of Twin Peaks. With the running hand in hand with uh, his idea of the self and the perpetual nature of evil and all the bigger issues he likes to touch upon and not just touch upon, wrestle with. Um, so it reminded me of Persona, which I don't remember thinking the first time. And the other thing I thought watching this movie was, wow, I think this is where all modern horror films have begun. I think
Mm.
this is where you learn the lesson, the difference between a filmmaker and the word I have grown to hate more than any other in this decade to describe a movie, the vibes.
Oh, yeah.
This is not a movie of vibes. It is, but it's so much deeper than that. It is such a disturbing portrait of a fractured self, which is really how my only way to read the film. I don't. That's how I took it the first time I saw it. Yeah, the dream logic makes complete sense to me. I don't like to think of it as dream logic. It's just you are being forced to experience a fractured self. It's not trying to explain to you why it makes sense. You're just watching someone whose dream falls apart fall apart. That's enough for me to have this work at such a wonderful, for lack of a better phrase, art house level. Like it's not
Mm.
it's not asking you to understand anything other than everything is falling apart and I can't save it and I don't know who I am, which is
Yeah.
oh, an exhausting headspace to be in, uh, and an impressive one to maintain for 2 hours in a film. It's why it's a very good movie. It is the first Lynch. It is, I even at the time I remember thinking, well, this is okay. This is Lost Highway done with more money and better actors, which goes a long way. Let's not discount how great Naomi Watts is in
Oh,
this movie.
yeah.
Stunning,
I
stunningly good in this movie.
so I was watching
So good in
this.
this movie.
I was watching this on Amazon, and they have the thing where if you pause it, it will tell you who's on screen at that point.
Yeah.
And I knew it was Naomi Watts in both sections of the film,
Yes.
but I had to pause in the second half and be like, are they sure? Because it doesn't even look like her. And I understand there was, from when the time they shot the first stuff to the time they shot the, quote unquote real world stuff. There was a delay because that was the new stuff shot after the pilot was
Yes.
rejected.
Yes.
But still, it feels like a totally different performance. Uh,
Yes.
she's
In a
so
good
good.
way.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the scene with the audition is such, oh my gosh. Because I do remember the first time watching it thinking, why are they talking this way? So throughout the first hour of the movie, everything is very heightened and pure and kind of Bobbsey twins-ish,
Yes.
which now having gone through, David Lynch's
Lynch, you
filmography,
understand. Yes.
this is part of what he did. Um, but then that turn where she reveals what she's capable of, and you have to ask, is this something that's always been in her? Is this bubbling to the surface in her dream? Does it matter? Is it she just really a good actress and we're just watching her give a really good performance? It's just such an amazing performance at that, especially at that moment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Uh yeah. I like I said, I can't I don't love this movie like a lot of people love this movie. In part because that is how I feel about Blue Velvet. I love Blue Velvet.
Uh,
And they are doing entirely different things. To be fair, Blue Velvet is not a headspace movie. It is truly a story about recognizing the evil in yourself and allowing it to, understanding that it's there and that it coexists within you and that it doesn't have to dominate you.
mhm.
That's he got tired of doing that in much the same way that the character from the first season of Twin Peaks that is gone by the time we get to season 3, who I miss, is Laura Flynn Boyle's character, the girl next door, the innocent. He's done with innocence at this point. And that's kind of what I miss most in this century of Lynch. He's not interested in the innocent at all. Whether that's a matter of advancing age and not being able to feel that you have that in you anymore, Not in a bad way, just in a, I cannot recognize what it means to go into the world wide-eyed and truly innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it made Lynch darker. He was already pretty dark to begin with.
Yeah, yeah.
um, uh, but again, and again, I'm not going to use this word in the next film we talk about. I can't believe I'm going to rewatch Inland Empire. I haven't seen it since the first time I saw it. I'm not looking forward to it. I'll be very honest, but I'm gonna. I promise you. Um, this is a film that isn't. It's not playful.
No.
In no way is it playful. Granted, neither is Lost Highway, so that's okay. It's not that he'd never been with not playful before, but there is, you just know, even if you don't know, the early sun-dappled beginning is not going to last. there is dread in this movie from moment one. As soon as that very cool jitterbug sequence opens it, and then we get the giant elderly faces hovering above us, looking down on us. It's like, oh, this is going to turn. This is going to curdle. This is not going to end well for anybody. And thankfully, I like the fact that he sort of just throws off. There's so much, sort of noirish plot here that isn't. It's not. It's not about what happens next. It's not about finding out, you know, why Frank Booth is blackmailing Dorothy in Blue Velvet. It's no, we've lost that. We're not doing that. We are just in a horrible headspace
Well, and they
for
even
2
bring
hours.
in
And
they even
effectively
bring in the
so.
cops at the first 5 minutes. Robert Forster shows up, and then he's
Yep.
gone. He's on. Him
Yeah.
and Brent Briscoe are gone after the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Never to be seen again. And
and
good.
I wonder how
Good.
much I wonder how much of that was set up for the TV show had it gone
A lot of
forward.
it, I'm
And
sure.
I yeah. There's so much in this movie about artifice, which
Yeah.
I know is part of it. But I was thinking, like, the scene that really, like, struck me just with how well it was constructed was after the audition scene, when she goes, it's the first time Justin Theroux notices her. But you have that shot where it is the doo-wop singers in the
Yes.
recording station, and it pulls out, and you're like, oh, they're being watched through a window at a recording station. Pulls out more, and it's the camera. Pulls out more, and they're on this sound stage. And I don't have anything else to say that means anything. I just thought it was a really cool shot. But it does say so much about, there is one level and another level throughout this whole movie, and they bleed into each other. And like you said, it's a fractured personality. She can't hold it together.
Yeah.
Which at the end of the movie, you have the two old people chasing her around the house, which baffled me the first time I see it. And now, maybe we've seen enough of these movies. So I'm like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense in this movie. I I think I prefer this movie to Lost Highway, and I couldn't explain why. Although I think Lost Highway might have scared me more. Lost Highway.
Yes. Lost Highway is yes, purposefully scarier. Yeah.
I probably still prefer Blue Velvet for the reasons you said. Like, that was a movie that I think, and it was also the movie I was most afraid of visiting in this. And I just really loved it when we saw it. And for the same thing, like you said, there is an innocence to that. You think of Wild at Heart, there's innocence to that one as well, innocent young love. And that's not in this one at all. This was the
No.
first. This was the second one Roger Ebert liked, though. I was surprised to see.
Well, and we know why Roger liked this
Oh
movie.
yeah.
Come on. There are large breasts and lesbian sex scenes. Roger's gonna like your movie if you had those two things in them. Yes, indeed.
Shortly before his death, though, it was the movie they screened at his Film Interruptus thing, where he would, over like 3 days watch a movie.
Yeah.
And it was the one, he said, where they got to the end of the 3 days and were no closer to figuring out the movie than when they started.
No, that's because it is not about that. It is, like we were saying, it's not about a plot. The construction, there's not a story construction here. There is a deep exploration of a fractured personality, which is, yes, could very, very, very reductively be called vibes. but that's not what we would use to describe this movie because it's runs a lot deeper than that.
Yeah, vibes is pretty much all aesthetic these days. Like
Yeah,
it's creepy. It's liminal. That's the new vibe ones. It's a liminal
liminal.
space.
Yes, it's a
And
liminal
I love
space.
a good liminal space. But no, I mean that's the thing that has always, I think, made David Lynch in this series why I haven't run from his films, but I've been intrigued by them, is everything is tied to this deeper emotional truth or this emotional curiosity. And it's not there just to shock and just
Yeah,
to disturb. He's,
or
you know,
just because it's cool.
yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah,
he's saying stuff. The thing that I bump up against when thinking it is a fractured personality movie, but the thing I keep bumping up against too is the side plot with Justin Theroux, which much of it seems to have nothing to do with the Betty or Diane character. And I'm like, oh, is that just David Lynch working out his own Hollywood frustrations at that point? And I don't have an answer on that, but it's why I kind of also think there's just a lot of, oh yeah, this is also Hollywood because it's this place that he apparently liked living, but he was also a guy who loved the suburbs more than anything. And is it him exploring why he's drawn to it and terrified by the city as well, which has been a theme through all his stuff as well.
absolutely. I've read theories that make a lot of sense to me. I agree with you. Like I really like Justin Theroux. I think Justin Theroux is really talented in a variety of manners.
Mm-hmm.
And it always sort of like he is kind of forgettable throughout this movie. Like it's like he's far from the most interesting thing in the movie. And I agree. It's a lot of the Hollywood casting stuff is the least that involve him is the least interesting stuff in the movie. It's the stuff that feels like a plot that we're not being given.
It feels
Um,
like the stuff that would have been unpacked and made more sense in a TV show like
yeah,
that one.
exactly. It
Yeah.
feels like a setup for all of that. I mean, I've heard explanations of how the theory goes that if you accept that it's the straight up dream, that when Diane's in the dream space, that is it is Diane coming to the understanding that she's I read of I can't remember. God, it's been so long. I don't remember where I read or heard this first. But the idea that it's her coming to terms with the rejection of
Mm.
Hollywood, and so she needs a reason. She's making an excuse for it wouldn't have mattered how much talent she has. So
Because
that is
someone
still
else
part
was
of
pulling
her
the string.
dream. It's someone else has set this plan in motion where there is nothing she could have done. It never would have happened,
Well, that
which is
makes
interesting.
no,
I don't
because
know if it's right, but interesting.
I heard a discussion on this too recently. I went back and listened to Blank Check did an episode on this when they were going through David Lynch, and they bring up the fact that in the quote unquote real world, she wanted a role and lost it to Camilla. But in her dream, she nails the audition, but is not going to get the part because they hate the director. So either
Right.
way, like, and that I thought that was interesting too. I love the fact that I don't have to know. Like, I think
Right.
we are primed to find the connections and fan theories that explain everything. And I kind of hate that. I kind of hate that you can't just be encouraged to revisit the movie and say, I don't know. Have you seen the film? I think it's Room 237,
Oh yeah, this the Shining
the Shining one.
documentary. He says in air quotes. Yes.
Yeah. And I have big problems with that movie because I'm like, I don't want to know. Like, I don't love The Shining as much as everyone, but I do enjoy The Shining quite a bit. I don't want to know what everything means in that. It's more scary if I don't know
Oh,
what
I
it
love that movie.
means.
Room 237, not The Shining. I really like Room 237.
I like listening to the theories, but I'm also just like, I don't need to know what this is, and I don't think the movie art. Whatever, I'm getting off track, but I like that there isn't a Room 237 from Mulholland Drive, unless there was one where it was just the final thesis was we don't know. But let's just talk about it, which is I guess what we're doing here.
But yes, the yes, the last yes. It the silencio. That's how it ends for a reason. We don't need to
Yeah.
talk. We can just sit in this, right? I was struck that you brought up the scene where they're on the soundstage because that was actually the scene that I got to that I was like, I honestly don't. I remembered them seeing each other. I forgot we held that long on the singers and had that giant track back,
Mm-hmm.
and then that came back to me at the end. That was a rhyme within the film that I hadn't noticed before. That really does a wonderful job of making the whole Silencio nightclub sequence work even better. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, okay, yes, everything's fake. It's all a performance. There's nothing real. There's nothing real.
Yeah.
There is no band. There is no, there's nothing here. You are just feeling. That's all you're doing.
I will say something that was even more terrifying this time. I did not, the first time I was watching it, know about the Winky's Diner scene at the beginning. I didn't know that thing was going to jump out from behind an alley. So I figured this time, oh no, I'm prepared for this. But I was so on
Gotcha
edge the
again.
whole, well, that didn't get me because I was like, I'm just not going to look at the screen this time. But, but
Okay.
no, it's the whole build up to that puts you off kilter because the camera is just floating throughout that diner the entire scene,
Yes.
which just puts you off edge. And then anytime throughout the movie someone is walking through a house and they're approaching a corner, you are just wondering what the hell is going to jump out. Yeah, that's kind of scary. It's not as scary as Lost Highway, but Lost
I
Highway.
think if I remember correctly in that sequence, also during that entire conversation, that scene in the diner at the beginning of the movie, I believe that there's like no other sound effects. Like you don't hear any of the diners, you don't hear plates clinking,
No, I
you
think
hear
it's just
nothing.
the people
It's
talking.
just this otherworld space that is really with people there, an otherworld space that's just horrifying. It's well done. It's really
Yeah.
well done.
Mulholland Drive, a much better movie than Disclosure Day.
Yeah, very, very much so. And
Um,
to point out, Spielberg is on record about how much he loves Inland Empire. So get ready for that.
oh, okay. We still have that, and I will pull the trigger on Twin Peaks very soon. I have it on Amazon Prime. I have the first. I think I have all three seasons on Amazon Prime. Through
All right.
Paramount
Well,
Plus. So
then you need, yes, we do. Yes. I think if we're going to do this correctly, we're going to milk this for a little bit. We'll
yeah,
do Inland Empire. Then we should do the first two seasons of Twin Peaks. Then we should do Firewalk with Me. And then
and
we
then
should
the
do
final.
season three.
That makes sense to me. We can.
I think that's really the way to do it.
I think we can draw this out the rest of the year and do that.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I have enjoyed this series. This is one of my favorite film watching experiences I've had. Is finally getting around to these. I thank you for
Yay.
doing that because I have loved this.
Yay.
And
I'm so glad.
so maybe next time we'll be talking Inland Empire, but it's still summer. We might have some other stuff to talk about.
I will get to Inland Empire. I will do it. It's sitting on the Criterion channel, so I can get to it, which is
All right.
that's gonna be the motivation. Like it's sitting there. I need to see this again.
All right.
Oh my word! I can't believe I'm gonna watch this movie again.
You're really selling this one for me,
I
Barry.
really dislike this experience in the movie
You are
theater,
not the
man. I was
first
like,
person. You're not the
no.
first person to tell me that.
But I do want to. Yes, I know how I'm going into it. Uh, and I'm hoping that will put it in a frame that I can have a different experience with it.
All right. In the meantime, Perry, where can people find you?
You can hear me on the Lucy and Lance show on 1290 AM WLBY in Ann Arbor every Friday, and she streams her show. It's available wherever you get podcasts. It's cut up into sections. You can just find me. Chris,
All
where can we
right.
read your great work?
You can read me at criticisms.substack.com. And oh my gosh, Perry, I have a ton of stuff up there right now. The thing I am most excited about is I also started an interview series that I've done two so far called the Criticisms Conversations. These allow me to sit with people and talk about things I'm interested about. And the first two conversations have really been in my wheelhouse. They have been talking about the arts and faith. So I had a bucket list opportunity to talk to Jeffrey Overstreet about a month ago, who is the
Mhm.
author of the wonderful new book, Lost and Found in the Cathedral of Cinema. We talked about the arts, we talked about faith, we talked about movies. It was great. So you can see that on my Criticism Substack. I also talked to the producers of the new TV show, Creative Icons, which explores the idea of people of faith in the arts, and I really enjoyed that conversation as well. They are Michigan-based filmmakers, so
Nice.
check those out. They're there. They're also on YouTube. I am hoping to start getting some We're Watching Here up on YouTube as well. I don't know if you'll see our faces or I'll just do a cover, but that seems to be a way to get it out to more of an audience. I'm just going to keep plugging here. I have thoughts on Disclosure Day, which, as you've heard, are now out of date, and Toy Story 5. I'm finishing my Rob Reiner series. I am doing a series on the movies of summer 1986, which includes the very horrible but very watchable Cobra. And in June, I have been
Crime
going
is a
through,
disease.
I'm going to eat my pizza with scissors now. God, what a bad movie. I'm also through Pride Month going through a series of documentaries about the LGBTQ community. This week, I'll have something up about the times of Harvey Milk. So now is a great time to subscribe.
Yes.
And as always, you can find this podcast there and hopefully soon on YouTube. Seems to be a way to get another audience. So
let's go with a cover. I think for everybody,
I would agree with that.
I don't think they want to see us.
I was gonna do my criticisms conversation as a video like that, and then I was like, I saw myself on Zoom. I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, let's. That's for the Patreons only. That's it.
I also, when I think, I look off camera, so it doesn't make for tantalizing.
It's not great. It's not.
So, all right, Perry, I will see you shortly.
Absolutely, Chris. Take care.
You too.